this edition of podcast, today we have with us eminent violin player from Assam, Sunita Khaund Bhuyan. She is currently based in Mumbai. Welcome, Ms. Sunita.
Thank you for inviting me to my love Assam.
You have engaged yourself in the field of wellness through music for the past several years. Can you elaborate us on what is wellness through music and what is your involvement in this field so far?
First of all, music is a very, very powerful medium, and most of us are exposed to the entertainment quotient of music. However, music has two profound benefits on the mind and body. The first one is that of the scientific impact of sound on the physiological system, and that is the context of music therapy. And the other is that we can learn a lot of human and leadership traits from the engagement of music. Keeping these two contexts in mind, music is very actively used in certain hospitals, in certain recuperation clinics, and of course as a tool for leadership development. My mother herself is a senior violinist, Smti Khaund. And till I was around 25 years old, I wasn't aware of the impact of music on, beyond the stage. Because when you are young, you look at an instrument as something that has been handed over to you by your mother, and you play it because you have to play it. And
Right.
So honestly, the devotion with which my mother had, initially I didn't have that. But when I started studying my master's of music paper, there was a paper on sound and physics and the tension between the strings and how sound and the impact and the way in which you use your bow and the tonality of the instrument, the kind of melodies that you use has an impact on the brain, and it reaches the brain and the brain sends signals to different parts of the body, and that's when the endorphins get produced. So when I got to know that, I started using it in my intervention. It started from the States, and I went into focus groups, and I took it to learning and training programs. From learning and development, I went into wellness interventions, recuperation for palliative patients of cancer, recuperation for mentally challenged, sometimes for physically challenged, and then, of course, for marginalized children from the streets. So that has been my journey and involvement, using music as a tool for wellness.
Can you cite any specific example related to this, especially students? Does it help them listening to music?
Right. It's alternative therapy. As you would know, we have the actual medical science, which is black and white, which tells us that this is the way to do a surgery, this is the way to have a medication if you have diabetes or blood pressure and this and that. Alternative medication is a very subjective area, field. Okay, so for students, for example, if they're listening to music of their choice and they're not being distracted by the music, but they're using it as an enabling tool, it's very important for students or patients or anyone to be cognizant of the fact that if you want to get the benefits of music therapy, you have to use it as an enabling tool. And you have to make a few conscious steps in a structured manner. That if you're wanting to study and increase your memory or increase your focus, you cannot listen to very high sound. So there are methods in which we take through young students or young executives in the workplace on how they can use it step by step to be able to get the benefits of the media.
Right. And do you have a kind of defined recipe for who should listen, what kind of music and what kind of situation you should listen to, what kind of music?
Like I said, medical science would have very defined prescriptions, but alternative healing has got some prescriptions which are again very connected to the individual. So an individual will react to every sound differently. For morning, some people may want to listen to rags of Indian classical, but some people may like to listen to only bhajan. Some people may like to listen to Western classical soft melodies, because your interest level is what inspires you to get the benefit. But for if you ask me as an Indian classical violinist, an Indian folk artist, I would suggest that morning you should take those morning ragas, because in Indian system of music, there is a structured science of time theory. Morning ragas are used for bone, arthritis, recuperation. Again, recuperation, not treatment. Mid-morning ragas are used for better metabolism, better motor movements, swift movements of the body, because our body is sluggish in the morning, so mid-morning between 9 to 12. There are ragas during the afternoon which are used for, which are like antidepressants. They're used in clinics and rehabilitation centers like Raga Bhimpalashri. It's used to, up the metabolism. And there are these ragas prevalent even in common and popular music. So we tell our young people that this song has got Rag Yaman, this song has got Rag Bilaval of Parinita, Sani Sare, Re Ga Ma Ga, Sani Sare, Sani Sa, Sapa Ma Re Ma Ga, Baatein jo dil ki hai, dil mein tu rakhna piya, Sani Sare. Piya bole, sani sare, sani sa. So the notes are like Bilaval. So we can recommend to them these. Then afternoon ragas have got jazz to world music has been Bhimpalashri, and then item numbers are also in Bhimpalashri because there is no class or master music. So the notes, so we can inspire the youngsters.
Beautiful note. With the kind of people like you involvement in this thing, do you see any improvement in selection of music among youngsters these days, or like listening to more helpful music, I would say?
Yes, there is music for entertainment. There is music for relaxation and well-being. There is music for therapy. Depends on what stage the human being is. You want to go to the gym, you want loud music. But if you're wanting to meditate, wanting to study, you have to use certain kinds of music. And today, to answer your question, youngsters are very, very sharp. As much as we feel that they're immature, but they're very sharp. So if you look at the apps in the market, which are for meditative music, for ambient music, you see that a lot of youngsters are using it. That is on the internet. But physically, what I've seen in the last so many years, that more and more youngsters are coming to listen to classical music. They like good quality Bollywood melodies. There has been a consciousness there's been a judicious choice that today youngsters are doing in picking up the music. So whatever music, there's 7 notes. So there is no, the rock music is bad and folk music is not structured. We can't say that. सब में 7 सुर होता है, सभी संगीत में 7 सुर ही है. So today the options are very wide and very specific, and children and the youngsters are choosing those options. But as guardians, as adults, as schools, I really want people to guide them towards the right kind of music.
Do you have any message for the people of Assam, since you are based in Mumbai for last several years?
Sure. Like they say, you can take a person out of Assam, you can't take Assam out of a person. So very much an Assamese at heart. Yeah, because Assamese music itself is so great and so rich. As an artist, with Bhupendra's music has inspired me much later in my life. And of course, Bihu has given me an identity in the world of music across the world. Bihu on the violin is the first time that I got the opportunity to try it. So my message to the youngsters or to Assam should be that let the young generation also experience the pleasure of music, and let's not make music only something to get million hits on YouTube or on your Instagram. Because let's encourage more and more youngsters to look at music, to use the experience on how it can create well-being, on how it can create better values of citizenship, of sharing, of respect, of discipline. I think that facet hasn't been discovered yet. And I urge the schools and I urge the guardians, let us encourage our children to experience the discipline of the arts, not to become big rock stars or not to become professionals, but use the lessons of music to make oneself more holistic and a more conscious citizen. That's my appeal to everyone in Assam at this point.
Definitely. I'm sure your message will be heard by all concerned. And thank you for being with us in this program. And we hope that we'll be getting you in future in other programs as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you and to MyGov Assam for recognizing the relevance of the arts. Thank you for inviting me.